Hey, what's up, guys, man? Welcome to the first installment of what we like to call group text.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, like this is Candid Conversations, man, where we talk about what we actually discuss, talk about, share in our group text, man. And I'm so excited because, man, this is our first one. This is our first shot at this, doing this together.
Yeah.
So we all in the studio here in L.A.
In person, baby.
Sunny L.A.
Live in the living color.
So man, I got of course myself, AD. Then we got Rick. Rick, what's up?
Yeah, what's going on, man? What's
Hey.
going on? This is new to me. Like that, you know, y'all are the podcast kings.
No,
This is new
Nah.
to me to be on the podcast.
no, man. You know we just out here just trying to do work, man. That's
Yeah,
it. That's it.
That's it.
And
And
it'll-
just being fruitful to the nation. You know?
That's
Yeah,
it.
Man, being
That's
generous,
it.
man.
Adding value.
Adding value.
That's what it
That's
boils
it.
down
That's
to.
it.
All
That's
right.
And being generous with it, too.
Yeah.
And being generous with
Yes,
it, man.
yes, sir, yes,
So
sir.
Weezy,
We here, man.
Hey.
Serial motivator himself. We here.
That's it,
Wayne
man.
McKnight Jr., baby.
Love it. I love it.
That's it. Wayne McKnight Jr.
Yes, sir.
in the building.
Yep.
And don't call him Junior. So man, so check this out, man. You know, like we're starting up this thing, man. We've been talking, we've been rapping on our own,
Yeah.
separately.
Yeah.
We have our own language that kind of goes on in our group text, man. We got our own dialogue that goes on in our group text, man. And really what I want to start out with is this, is how important is it to have somewhere that you can brag and not seem like you're arrogant?
Man. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
How important is that? How important is that, man? Because I think it's very important from the standpoint of like everybody not gonna feel you, everybody not gonna support you, everybody not gonna
Yeah.
celebrate you, everybody
Yeah.
not gonna understand it,
Yeah.
everybody's not gonna grasp it. But man, like when you need that extra support
Yeah.
or you need that extra push, or if you just want to know like, yo, I've been rocking it and I've
Yeah.
been killing this stuff,
Yeah.
man. I've been jumping in and I'm about this. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like how important is it to have that space?
So look, man, one of the things that I've been just trying to be as conscious as possible about self is having a balance of energy, right? So I'm learning to give my wins just as much energy as I give my disappointments.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because when things don't turn out the way that I think they should turn out, I give like this aggressive energy towards it, right?
yeah.
And then when the wins come, you like, oh, that's cool, right? Because you don't want to be arrogant, you don't want, like, you want to be humble, you don't want the ego to get out of control.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you're not careful, you can go all the way too humble.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think sometimes to have that safe space where people are like, you just feel like you're not being judged.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And be able to just talk about your wins. I think that's super important. So because we got to give our wins the same energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
We got to.
I think that's key. You know, like to give our wins the same energy. Cause like like when we fail or be are disappointed, then we automatically start thinking about what we could have did different.
Yeah.
What possibly could have changed.
Yeah.
What like, oh man, I should have approached that different. And we were almost soaking that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then we do the victory. It's like, all right, cool, I got it. And then, you may celebrate for a moment, but you don't give it that same mental space.
Yeah.
And I just think it's like I want the folks closest to me telling me I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to share what I'm happy about with the folks that are closest to me. And that's why, like, I mean, it's bragging, but it's celebrating every win. Like,
Yeah.
on the road to getting wherever it is that you want to go, it's important to notice your growth. It's important to notice your shifts, the things that change, and the things that you truly succeed in, and the things that you're winning in. And so, like when I come into text message, I'm like, yo, let me tell y'all what's going on.
Yeah.
Because you can do that publicly, but you also I think it's also important to, be balanced with humility and understanding where you come from and all of just as much as the good that you celebrate, you also got to recognize the bad that helped you get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm huge in like failing. Like I'm excited to fail. I love to fail because it teaches me.
Yeah.
And it allows me to get better, you know, at what I'm doing. So I think, but I love to win. I'll tell you that.
Yes,
I love to win.
Yes, sir.
And I love to feel the feeling that you get when you win. It's nothing like it. And then I think what makes this group so special, like, I'm just as excited to see y'all win like I'm excited to see myself win. And
Bingo.
so
That's
like
the thing.
that's healthy for me.
Yeah.
To see my brothers win is healthy for me because it makes me happy. And happiness is healthy.
Yep.
And I want to, like, my goal is to be as happy in life as possible. Like I want to make sure that my job makes me happy, like what I do, you know, for fun makes me happy. Like that's what I want to do. Like I think that's what life is about.
Yep.
More than anything else is being truly happy and satisfied and pleased with what you've done. So
Yeah,
man.
And I think that the win is an element to healthy inner circles as well, right? I put a post up a couple of days ago, and one of the things that I talked about were acts of inspiration.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think you need those acts of inspiration within the circle so you can continue to strive for more, right? Because when you are with self for so long, you can almost fall into a sense of complacency.
Yeah.
Now you can think that you're really doing the work, or you can think that you're really evolving, but you really can't scale it until you put yourself up against what other people are doing, right?
Yeah.
And there's no judging, there's no comparison, right? That's why the inner circle has to be mature enough to process those type of things, right? But there has to be acts of inspiration to continue to push yourself.
What? I mean, why would you even be in a circle if the folks you're in a circle with don't inspire you?
That's right.
Like
That's
if why would I want to be around people that don't push me to be better simply by being better themselves?
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me nothing. I just watch you and I'm like, God, okay, that's what's up.
Yeah.
So they won, let me get another win too.
Right.
Let me push myself just as hard as they're pushing themselves, and let me be an inspiration to other people to do the same thing. Man, that's important.
Yeah. You know, what's interesting is that I was reading this article, and it's one of the Shamrocks. You know, I used to watch UFC fight and all that stuff. And one of the Shamrocks were saying that it's important to have 3 people that you train with. You need to train with a person that is much better than you, so you can learn. You need to train with a person that is on the same level as you,
and then
someone who is not as good as you, so that you can teach as well. You know,
like, and that's what I call like 1s, 2s, and 3s. Like, you got your 1s that you pour into.
Yes.
You got your 2s that are on your level, and you got your 3s that you look up to.
Yeah.
So how can we continue to elevate if we don't have, that numbers metrics in our lives? You got the 3s that you look up to. You got your 2s that keep you inspired. Y'all doing some of the same things. But I do think it's important to understand that just because someone is a 2, you can't be inspired. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can be inspired by those that are on the same level as you. Like, oh man, you doing this, and that's what we do. Like, we, but then we also, I think, lend ourselves to the expert in our 2 circle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you do this well. I'm gonna, hey, can you da 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 da? You know what I'm saying? Or can you help me with this, or whatever it may be? And I think that's where pride has to diminish, and that's so important. To diminish that pride and allow yourself to be at a space where I'm gonna be taught. You know what I'm saying, in this moment. And then understand, like, even your 1s can teach you.
Yep.
Your 2s
Anybody.
can teach you.
Anybody.
Your 3s can teach you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so important about that, and that takes me back to humility, because if you're not humble enough to recognize that you have to work like everybody works, then you'll never put yourself in position to understand that the person that's mopping the floor is just as important as I am.
Yep.
That's right.
And I learned so much from all of the people around me, no matter where they are in life, because we can all learn from that.
Yep.
While pushing each other to be even better.
Yep.
Like it's so funny because I was telling my brother the other day, I was on a call, and my brother was on the call with me, and it was with this national organization.
Mm-hmm.
And all of these folks were on this Zoom call because of me. You know, they saw my nonprofit organization, and they thought it was the thing that needed to be partnered with them.
Right.
And it was so amazing
Right.
that they wanted to connect and, you know, do work together. And I sit back and I'm like, man, I haven't even scratched the surface of my potential yet. It's like I have so much more work to do, and I can be so much better and so much stronger, and I just want to learn and grow.
Yeah.
And it's like, I always have to stay in a space of like humility. I don't know it all.
Right.
Like, I don't know it all. And,
Right.
and I'm nowhere near that. And I'm not perfect, and I have many imperfections. There's so many growth areas that I have.
Right.
And I want to I want to get better at as much as I can.
Yeah.
You know, in those areas, that there's always work to be done.
Always
And if
work
you
to be
think you
done.
got it all, then I just feel like that's such a dangerous place to be in.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. And having the space to talk about your wins, it shows the possibility, right? Now we're talking about
Yeah.
exposure.
Yeah.
I know every time I come out here and spend time with you all, like, for me, it is a constant ego check for me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Just a constant ego check. And coming out to LA really gives me an opportunity to really zone in on my intentions, right? And making sure that my intentions are pure,
Yeah.
that they're right, you know what I mean? Even being around you all, just seeing the possibilities. And I'm not just talking about the external things.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's cool with the cars and the views and
Yeah.
all that stuff, but even understanding how to really care about a person.
Yeah, man.
What it really means to be selfless in certain
Yeah.
situations. Really understanding that each other's value doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
And if you're not aware of that, you can become insecure again, because
Yep.
as you all know, I've said it plenty of times, like, I just want to bring value. I don't want to be like
Yeah.
that third wheel. But it's a constant reminder for self, like, yo, my value doesn't look the same value as how you all bring it to the table,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yep.
just different. And if you don't recognize that, you can get into a space.
Yeah, you can,
Right.
and it's hard to get out of those.
It's
spaces.
so hard.
Yeah, and I've I man, that's important. And if the only value we see is what others can financially give us,
Right.
if that's the only value that we see in folks, like, or even like what people can give us, period. Like, if you go into any type of relationship, like, what can this person give me? It's a false,
Right.
you know, that's not a relationship. That's
Right.
a transaction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like, I don't do transactions when it comes to, you know, like, really being involved with people.
Right.
Like, you got to have a genuine love and care for folks. And I think that's what makes any person successful, is because they are a lover of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially if you're in work that deals with people,
Yep.
you've got to be a lover of people. I go into places all the time. It's so funny, because I'm just a relational person. And it's interesting because I get a lot of times like, oh, man, you look so unapproachable. And I'm like, man, I'm like the friendliest person ever. Like, if I get to talk to people, like, I get excited about like hearing people's stories and talking to them about, like, you know, shared passions and things like that. I think I'm the most approachable person ever. But, you know, sometimes I get the latter. But I think it's so important to, and I learned this from other people. Like, I remember, I'll never forget this. I was with one of my friends, and we were just walking down the street, and there was this, like, homeless person sitting on the steps. And, you know, we were just walking by, and I'm not thinking anything of it. And he stops, and he sits down next to this homeless person, and he starts having a conversation. And I'm just listening, and at first I wasn't paying any attention.
Right.
But the more I listened to this man's his story, I was like, wow, like, that could have been me.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just for my friend to, like, stop and, like, care enough, it was like, it opened my eyes to just the, I don't know, the level of intentionality we have to have because most people we listen to respond. So even if we're meeting people, like, a lot of people, they hear you, but they're not listening. And once you're done, they want to get in what they want, you know.
They're just waiting to talk. Yeah.
And it was funny, just like last night when we went out to dinner, and our waitress, we will not talk about where we went, but our waitress, it was that one. I remember that one instance where you were actually having a conversation with her, like you were genuinely interested that she was from the East Coast, and you were having a conversation, and in the middle of your sentence, she turned around and walked away.
Yeah.
She wasn't listening to you. She didn't. She just heard you.
Yeah.
And when you stopped talking, that was her signal to walk away. Even though you had stopped for her to respond and have a conversation.
Yeah.
And so it's just things like that. Like, most people aren't relational and they don't think those things are important. But I think when you're truly relational, you add value to people, and they in turn, like, their value, like, they think more of themselves.
But then also too, I think we're in a society now where everybody that is relational and you are conversational is viewed as you're flirting.
Yeah.
And they trying to talk to me, or they trying to get on, or da. So immediately when somebody's nice or somebody's just having just show a level of interest in conversation and in dialogue, then I think that has hindered authentic conversation as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Just looking crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just having that aspect of, I just don't know why they're talking to me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It can't just be like, I was raised in the era, and we were all raised in the era where, like, our grandparents were a part of our lives. You know what I'm saying? And like, we all had them grandparents that would just talk to people. Like, like, just hold conversations. Like, oh, so, hey, you catch somebody in passing, hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? Okay, how's your day going? Where you from?
Right,
what I'm saying? Like, and it had no ulterior motive. And I think that now,
and it was a very relational era.
Bingo.
Like, we even grew up in the era where, we would walk down the street and the funeral's coming down the street and you stopped.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you stopped and you went. And I think that had something to do with, like, where we were. Like, we were in the South and those things are valued. But I feel like being from the South has taken me so far in life because we grew up when, like, respect was a big thing, and like getting to know people was a big thing. And, and when you're relational, people just draw towards you. People want to be around you because they know you actually care about people, and people connect to that. And I think, like, no matter the race, no matter, like, people connect to people who care. And so I've just found value in, like, finding value in others.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like connectivity is a lost art. Authentic connectivity is a lost art.
Yeah.
Like, because if it's not with the concept, and, even in being here in LA, it is, it's tough. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's like, how does this benefit me? You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, it could legit benefit.
Right. Might not be right now.
Yeah. Or it may not be the way that you
think it. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, because I want to add value into every relationship that I'm a part of and everybody's life that I encounter, because I want to add that value. I think that what typically happens is that people want, add finance to me, add, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Add this to me, not understanding that, if you're around me long enough, you'll get the principles and the tools to add the finance.
Right.
And it's almost like, give a man a fish, he eat for a day. Teach a man a fish, he eat for a lifetime.
That's it.
You see what I'm saying?
But
it's the level of sacrifice that needs to go into establishing the relationship.
Yeah.
It's the level of what?
Intentionality.
It's the level of what?
Sacrifice. Did I say?
And,
what did I say?
No,
That's
sacrifice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, like, you hit it on the nail on the head. Most people aren't willing to sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that's why they're not getting where they want to be or the amount of money they want to have. Or it takes sacrifice. Hard work takes sacrifice.
Because I think people are trying to frame their lives in the way they're trying to get somewhere without the cons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so
without the cons.
and nothing. AD, with you coming out to LA, There was a lot of pros, but there's some cons that came with it.
Man, definitely
Rick,
some cons.
starting the school, the impact that you all are having in that community, it's a lot of pros, but there's some cons that came with it. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So with progress, there are pros and cons with it. There is no such thing of something that's all pro, right? And then I think we spend a lot of our lives trying to construct it in the way where it's all pros. And then we turn around and we wonder why we're in the same place that we were before. It's because we're not embracing the cons, right? There's no growth in all pros. There's no growth in it. That is a formula, that is a recipe for staying exactly where you are. Now, if you want growth, you go in looking for the cons. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I put a post. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I put a post up the other day, and I was talking about 3 benefits of why intentionally going after and doing things that you don't like to do, what that does for you. Right?
Yeah.
The growth that comes from that. You know, the ability to understand that the external reward is not the goal, right? It's the internal reward. And the more that you do things that you don't want to do, when you get through doing it, there's an internal feeling of fulfillment. And it is that fulfillment that keeps you going, right? Because the external rewards, those things fade, right? But as you do work that you don't want to do, it builds something within you, which prepares you for life. Like, you see what I'm saying? Because it goes back to my pros and cons thing. Like, if you embrace the cons, the reward is internal. This journey, what we're doing, because you learn and you can take that to other things, right? So let's talk about wealth or finances, right? That's why people, when they go bankrupt, if you understand the fundamental principles of business and money, if you lose it all, you don't trip. Because you know how to get it back. It's the internal, but that's not an external thing. That's an internal thing that is going through all the losses that built that within you to have that grit to go back and do it again. Right? So you can lose it all right now. You're not tripping because you understand that you fundamentally understand how to get that back. And you understand that the external things, that's not the reward, right? It is the things that are transferable. It is the information I can pass down to my son. Those are the things that matter, right? We were just talking about the table last night about mindset and how, like, my focus with my children than anything else is mindset. Is how to move and how to navigate, because if you don't have the right perspective, if you don't have the right mindset, you can really talk yourself out of blessings.
Right on out of them. Right out of them.
Because you're not seeing it the right way. Right? Your perception could be altered. And then you'll talk yourself right out of it.
You have one failure and you give up.
Or
you talk yourself out of and then a lot of times you talking yourself out of even starting. You know how many people I've come across where they don't start because of something. You know, whether it's I'm scared to fail or whatever the case may be, and they just talk themselves right out of starting.
Right out of it. And within that is selfish. Right?
Yes.
Because the very thing that is being asked of you, it is not just a random, baseless thing. The reason why you have this particular gift or talent, the reason why you have this particular urge or desire is because someone can benefit from that. And the fact that you will allow your fear or ego to stop you from doing, because all us not stepping into our destiny, that's all ego. Because ego wants to be right. Ego wants to be in control. So when you reach a place in your life where you're comfortable and you can predict everything that's going to happen, ego likes that. But the second that ego feels risk or new or uncomfortable, it wants to pull you back in because ego wants to be in charge. Ego doesn't want to feel vulnerability.
Ego hates being temporarily bad at something.
Yes. And then ego doesn't show back up. See, ego is lazy, man. Ego doesn't show back up until you get back comfortable again. Right? So the humility in self is present for the real work. And then ego shows back up when the work is done.
To say, look what we did.
Right.
But you didn't do nothing. You was back in the last phase, ego. Humility has got me to where I am right now. Then you want to show up when all the hard work is done. Like, you know what I mean? So just being, it's crazy, man. It really is.
Man, but I think that's the reason why it's so critical, man, to have spaces and places that you're able to, even in your that humility of working through the season where you're not so good, still having those spaces and places where you can brag about your progression.
Yes.
Just your growth.
Yeah.
Just your
Just your
because
growth.
that's what matters.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Because as you grow, listen, as I grow as an individual, I am contributing to our community.
Yeah.
Right? And because of my new growth, my insertion back into the community is now better because of what I've learned and how I've developed and grown. If I just sit back and I want to be the same, there's no value add there.
Yeah.
The community
Yeah.
doesn't grow. And to the point, it can start to fracture
That's right.
to a certain degree, right? So each individual within the community has an individual responsibility to grow, to learn, to develop, to evolve.
Yeah.
If you slack on that individual responsibility, you are doing the community as a whole a disservice.
Yeah. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So it is everyone's individual responsibility to evolve. Because if you don't do that, you are now putting the weight of other people, you are now putting that weight on other people that you say you love.
Yeah.
If I'm not growing, if I'm not developing now, I'm putting
That
all
means
of my
somebody's
weight
being responsible for
on
you.
Right. So I'm putting that weight on you, Rick,
Yeah.
and on you, AD, to continue to keep this thing going.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's unfair
Yeah.
because then you can't fully show up and be who you need to be because now you got my load on your shoulders too.
Yeah, yeah. I get it.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. That'll preach on Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll preach.
And I think that's where the resentment and all those things come
Whole
from.
thing, right?
And yeah, man. Yeah. Absolutely. I like that.
Yeah. So having that space, having that space where you can be like, yo, I can talk about this, I can share this, I can talk about my growth, I can talk about how I've continued to become.
Yeah.
And now stepping into who I'm being.
Yep.
Type of situation.
That's it. That's it.
That's a major thing.
Because the life is this, guys. It's the pool, right? It is the pool of who you are right now and who you are becoming.
Yeah.
The tension between those two ideas is where life is, right?
Yeah.
Who you are right now and who you are becoming. Like that's the interesting, that's the ups and downs, that's the wins, the losses, right? That is the building, that is the internal reward, right? Once you become that version who you need to be, now it's a whole new piece of work. It's ever going, like it never stops.
And you update that version all the time. I'm constantly
Every time.
updating that version.
Yeah.
Like every day, I'm realizing and recognizing places in my life where I can grow.
Yeah.
And then I'm starting to push myself even more. And I have such a long way to go. Like, just recognizing, like I wake up every day, like thinking that I can work even harder. Like there's so much time
Yeah.
that, that I can give to even more, like doubling down. So not necessarily starting a new thing, but becoming even better at the things that I'm really good at.
Right.
And being even more effective, as a leader, as an educator, as a dad, just being thoughtful about every aspect of my life where I can grow. In some areas, I'm fighting, I'm fighting myself, like, you need to do it. And, getting to the point where it's like, no, get it right. And
So also when it comes to that bragging, and this will be our last point for this episode, but when it comes to that bragging factor, it also gives us that whole accountability factor.
Yeah.
Because in our group text, we were talking, and then Rick was talking about how he buckled down. He's been on this dissertation.
Yeah.
He's been doing this. He's been doing this. He's been doing this. All right, cool. You brag that you've been buckling down, right?
Yep, right.
It's a safe space to brag. I think we need a safe space.
Have you finished it though?
To brag.
Have
Bingo.
you finished it though?
So like a week later, we're asking, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Right. It's the pros and cons.
Yeah.
You can't just brag about what you've done.
Gotta get it done.
There has to be a piece that holds you accountable
Like,
when you
what
slack
are you
off.
doing next? Like
Yep.
even when you're bragging about something you finished, okay, what's next?
It's got to be there
Yeah.
because even within the statement of I have such a long way to go, like that's insinuating like there's a touchdown. Like there's no end point to this.
Yeah.
right? This is ever evolving.
Yeah.
So even when we said we have such a long time to go, we have what did you say, Rick?
I just have so far to go. Like
so
I got
far
so
to
much
go,
more to do.
So much more to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's no end. Like, understand, this is life work.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, this doesn't stop. But yes, having a space to brag. Also, the con of that is the accountability piece. If you look at accountability in a negative way, yeah. So that safe place to brag is good because you need the balance.
Yeah, yeah. And you gotta have the right people to balance you.
Right. And not 50-50.
Yeah.
Right.
Folks that you trust.
I don't believe in like equal balance. Like when we talk about balance, we think about like even all around.
No. Some might need more balance than others.
So for one, I, Adrian Davis, have said I'm throwing away the word balance. I hate it. I hate it. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why. Like when it comes to like my mentees and I'm talking to them and I'm just naturally I just want to say that word. Naturally I just want to say, balance. We're gonna figure out a balance here. Mm-hmm. There is no such thing.
Right.
There is no such thing as balance.
Yeah.
Because the reality of the situation is the longer you continue to try to balance everything, something is going to fall, and it's usually you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Something is going to take the back seat, and it's usually you because you're balancing everybody else, balancing everything else, trying to do for everybody, trying to be everything, and then you're the one that's not taking time off. You're the one that's not taking mental breaks and spaces. Yep. You're the one that's not taking care of the things that you need to take care of for yourself. Yeah. Like, so you are being hit, right? But you're doing for everything else. It's not a balance. It's called priority.
Yeah. That's it.
It's not balance. It's called priority.
That's it.
What is my priority for this week? What is my priority within this day? What is my priority within this season of my life? What is this priority within this quarter? Whatever it may be. Because here's the thing. The reason why it needs to be priority is because at certain stages of my life, the priority is going to change.
Yeah.
Yes.
So right now, as I'm in LA, if I'm trying to balance me talking to my family and me talking to this person and me talking to my dad's side of the family and I have made it a priority for what Adrian Davis wants to do.
Yeah.
And because I've put myself on the back burner for so many years. So now I say I reserve the right to chase my own dreams and to chase the things that I want to do outside of helping everybody else and then saying that this is my lifeline.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So right now, I'm not talking to my mom every single day. Yeah. I'm not talking to my sister every single day. Yeah. There are times where I don't get to talk to Brigitte every single day. You see what I'm saying? But it's not because it's not about balance. It's about priority. So if I'm leaning into my acting classes, if I'm leaning into retaining lines, if I'm also lean into what's providing and what's paying me in this moment that I got to make ends meet. You know what I'm saying? Like that is the priority.
Yeah.
And as long as we try to balance, we're gonna lose.
And it's so funny because the more that I realize so when I was in the space of making myself even more of a priority and doing the things that I wanted to do and going the places I wanted to go and all of those things, like. It's funny because when you prioritize, when you don't do the same things that you used to, for some people, it feels like you don't like them anymore. You don't want to be around them anymore. You don't want because they don't get access to you as much as much as they used to. And folks like access. And so when you take away access, for some folks that it literally makes them feel like they're not liked.
Yep.
And, I've had to remind people, just because when you call, I don't respond right back, that doesn't mean I don't want to talk to you. I'm busy.
Right.
Like, I got, there's a lot of things that I'm doing during the day.
Right.
And responding to messages isn't necessarily the top of that priority list. Like being locked in on my work and making sure that I'm doing the right thing. That's how my focus is.
Yeah.
And so I don't respond to people as much as I used to, and people are hurt. Like some people's feelings get hurt.
Yeah.
And I have to clarify for them. It's not about you.
It's not.
It has nothing to do with
you. It's not.
It has nothing to do with you.
And they will make it about them.
Yes.
They will make it about themselves.
Absolutely.
But the question is this: as I transition, right? Because when you have those life transitions is normally when you have that new perspective, right? And as that new perspective is forming, other things tend to suffer. So the question is this: if I'm transitioning to a place in my life where you are not as dominant as you once was,
or important,
right? What are you now doing as an individual, right? Because there will be a space, if you are really meant to be in my life, that we will circle back and reconnect. When it's time to reconnect, you can't be that same version of yourself.
Yeah.
Right, you see what I'm saying? Because I've grown and I've evolved.
Yep.
When it's time for us to reconnect again, if you're that old version, now you're a hindrance on me.
Yeah.
Now
That's a burden.
Now the separation might be more because of there's no value add there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because you were so in your feelings, because we're not talking every day like we used to. You're so in your feelings, you neglected your responsibility to continue to grow.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to individuals' responsibility to grow.
You are
so
in your
I'm
feelings
telling
that you, oh my God.
What? That'll
It's all
preach
about,
on a Sunday.
Listen,
I'm telling you.
if we keep the focus as a community, as a collective, your intentions and the things you do as an individual will always align.
And I think one of the most important things, and I think this might be a whole episode by itself, and it took me a while to learn this, and if folks don't pay attention to this, it destroys relationships. And this is why, like, anybody that I mentor, anybody that I like pour into, or anybody that's close to me, I remind myself of this all the time. I say to folks, I am going to let you down.
Yes.
I'm going to let you down.
Yes.
I'm going to let you down. There's going to be something that you want or something that you need for me to do, and I'm not going to do it. And because you look at me as such this important person, or, you know, so important to you and so close to you, you're going to think that because I didn't do that thing, you know, you're going to be disappointed because you didn't get, you know, what you needed from me. And so if people don't remind themselves, like, we're all human.
Yep.
We're all human. There's been things that you have not done for me.
Yep.
There's been things that you've not done for me.
Yeah.
And if I don't have the mindset that humans are going to let us down, that's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we do. That is what we do.
Yeah.
And if I hold on to that, like, I'll walk away from a really important relationship, and I will have not gotten half of what I could have out of that person,
And you don't
simply because I've just put too much into
in
them.
there,
Yeah.
right? And then you just lose the lesson of compassion.
Yep.
Right? You don't give yourself the opportunity to really live in these ideas and these philosophies that we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I think I mentioned I'm really paying attention to Stoicism right now, like Marcus Aurelius and all these things. And one of the major components of it is how do you turn words into works? Right? It is not just about talking about these ideas and philosophies. How do you turn, these words into works? And I think in those moments of being uncomfortable are the moments when you exercise the things that you've been learning. So it's not about reading books to read books. It is about reading books to turn that into action.
Yeah.
And when you're walking away from opportunities to display that, you're missing out. Now you are doing things to be impressive instead of doing things to be impactful. I don't want to impress nobody.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
I just want to be impactful.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to read books just to say, hey, I read a book. No.
I want that thing to work
I
for
wanna
me.
apply
Man,
that.
let me tell you,
Yep.
that's why I talk about pie all the time. And I was talking, I think we had a conversation about this before. Like, I was sitting down one day, and I was like, what? Because people always ask me, like, how do I find my passion? How do I know what I'm passionate about? How do I find what I love? And in my mind, that question blows me away. It's like, how do you not know? Like, it's just like, because I feel like when you're passionate about something, you know that thing is like what you want to do, and you know you can become really good at it. And it's because it's what you love to do. Like, it's that thing that gets you up in the morning. It's that thing that drives you, that makes you hungry and want to do the work, you know? And so, you know, when people are like, I don't know what my passion is, I'm like, that's what you search for. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, for me, it's just like, it's about your like, what do you find, like, what's your purpose? Like, what do you find joy in doing? Like,
Right.
what do you find? Like, what do you love? And then the I, it like I feel like it's about impact, and that's what you were talking about. Like, what are you gonna do that's gonna make a difference? Not just about doing something, but what difference in the world is? Because I feel like everybody's put on earth to do something good in life.
Yeah.
Everybody's put on earth to do something good. So what are you gonna do that's good for the earth?
Yeah.
That's good for the people, and that's gonna impact or affect the world. And then I think the E, like, is it effective? Like, is that thing as good as it can be?
Yeah.
And I feel like once you do those three things, you get locked in. You get locked in.
I mean, like, and I really agree with that, Rick. And then I also think that a big part about it, we just don't ask ourselves this question: what would we be doing if money was not an object?
If it wasn't an object.
Like,
if it was,
like
because
if
when
we-
you do what you love, the money's gonna come.
And the thing is, we make life decisions based upon money.
Yeah, absolutely.
We say, and then what we try to do, we make the decision because that's gonna pay us very good. Then we try to force ourselves to love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
gonna pay me.
And the thing
But-
about it is, no matter what, your beliefs always come out in what you do.
Yeah.
So if you really don't like a thing, you can't go in faking that you like that thing forever. It's not gonna.
It's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Like I remember I was in these one-on-ones I've been doing this week for the mentees. I was talking to one and I hit like a vein. I could hit like I could feel myself hit a vein of like wisdom, right? And so like as I'm talking, I'm writing down notes. You know what I'm saying, to myself.
Right.
You know, and one of the things we were talking about purpose, and then one of the things I was like, you know, usually what happens is we make decisions based upon the money aspect, right? But what we're saying is remotely, you don't love what you do, you love the lifestyle that you saw, and you found a way to get that lifestyle. You said, yo, I want that car. I want to live like this.
Right.
I want to live in this particular financial freedom.
Right.
Not understanding that when you made that decision that you wanted to live in that freedom, you did not equate to your happiness, to you being to joy, to being fulfilled. You didn't equate none of that.
Right.
What you equated was like, yo, I want this lifestyle. Then you said being a doctor is going to get me that lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
That's
then
it.
you stuck with that because you were chasing the lifestyle.
Yeah.
But you were not chasing your purpose. Then you get to the destination, get the lifestyle, and be like, man, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why I think what we consider and what we call midlife crisis with people, I don't think it's midlife crisis for a lot of people. I think for a lot of people, it's not midlife crisis. It's the reality that I spent my life pursuing something that I didn't love, and now I hit the pinnacle to where now I'm going to do what I love. So like people will say, oh, you know, you went out and you bought, like, I remember was watching an episode of Fresh Prince, and Uncle Phil went out and bought a motorcycle, and they was like, oh, you going through a midlife crisis. No, he's probably always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He chased being a
And now he
judge
can
and
do it.
fit into a box.
Yeah.
And now he's saying, yo, I finally want to do something for myself.
Yeah.
And now I think people at a younger age are having midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet on myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and do what I want to do.
Yeah. And you know what? The what I'm recognizing as a person who has the ability to, like, give people opportunity and take opportunity away.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I like, it's so important that you let people know that you want to grow them so that they can go on and do other stuff. Like,
Tell them that up front.
exactly. Like, I want to grow you so that you can go on and do other stuff. Like, I want you to stay around for as long as you want.
Yep.
Like, this is here for as long. Like, if you're good, this thing is here for as long as you want to be here.
Yep.
And when you want to leave, I want to be able to help you and position you using my network, using my folks, using your talent and skill to be able to put you into spaces and places that you want to be, because I want people to be their happiest selves.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want people to work with me and do this work for the school that don't want to do it.
Right.
Like, I don't want people I don't want you to not like kids.
Right.
I don't want you to not like families.
Yeah.
I don't want you to not want to work really hard to get a thing done. Because here's the thing, and this is what I'm noticing. People often equate having to do more because you lack a skill with having to work really hard. And I think those are two different things. When you have to fill a gap because you don't know a thing, you're going to have to work harder.
Yes.
And people think that because you have to work harder to do that, that's what, like, how do I want to put this? I think people, because that takes sacrifice, people only are willing to sacrifice until that thing can't do anything for you anymore.
Yeah.
And recognizing that sacrifice is, you got to give. You've got to give your time, your energy, you know what I'm saying? And so that, and I think that's where people fall. And I find myself a lot, you know, and I think that's why we do the work really good. Like, I see the potential in people and I push them at the rate that they can stand. You know, enough where they see themselves grow, they see the growth, and they're like, oh, this you know, this is effective. And if I want to keep you and you're good and I keep a lid on you, that's not going to make you happy. Like, I want people that are just as passionate about this thing that I am. Because when you got passionate people doing the work, that's where that's where the magic is.
Yeah.
Like, we have so many magical moments in our school.
Yeah.
And people think we fake it. People think, you know, we cheat. You know, and like, one of the things that we want to make sure of is that when you walk into our building, which is run by Black men, you see high quality stuff, because people don't equate high quality, like, outcomes and instruction and professional development. Like, in places and spaces where your brain has to be used, they don't think Black men are good at it. Because people don't necessarily see us initially as smart people. They don't see Black men as smart. And, you know, I want to make sure that we change that narrative. I want to make sure that when you walk into our school, you see our boys, they are turned up and they're smart and they're learning. And it's so funny because we put videos online on social media, and, you know, some of the comments, our people are like, but are they learning though? And, you know, I'm just like, come and see. You know, our doors are open. And our boys are showing in data that they are getting smarter. And I think, like, once you get passionate people in a space, that's what happens. Like, that's where the good happens. And if all I want to do is make you good for me, then that's not going to make you happy. Because you have your own dreams, you have your own aspirations, you got your own gifts that you want to give to the world. And so I find the best places are places where people can grow and leave. If they want to leave, go. Like, people say, hey, you know, I love when people when people come on their own and say, this is not a good fit for me. Great. That's then I don't have to fire you. Because if you don't think it's a fit, believe me, I see it. You know. And so I want people who, like, wanna, and we tell people up front, like, we want you to be chasing after us just as much as we're chasing after you. We're looking for good educators. We're looking for, you know, people who are passionate and want to be who are about the business of kids. You know, and who want to be, like, building strong relationships with kids, because that's where the magic happens. And if you don't want to do that, because that takes sacrifice. You know, what that looks like is when a kid's not in school, we're popping up at the house. We're knocking on windows. Like, if you're not willing to do that, because that takes sacrifice. You know,
or I'm a teacher, I didn't sign up for this. That's a part that's a part of it. And so, you know, you got to, whatever that thing is, it's not just in education and all things we do, like, you got to sacrifice.
But even if you're not willing to do those things, that's okay. You can't be frustrated, though, with your lack of growth. Because it is with,
or the you can't be frustrated with the outcome.
You have to accept that. Because it is within the popping up at the kid's house, right? It is taking that last phone call with this parent when you know that it's time for you to go home. It is within that. That's the difference maker. And that is what separates your Michael Jordans from everybody else.
That is, we can't continue to do the same things and expect a different result.
We can't. Who's willing to sacrifice more? That's the person that's going to add the most value.
You know, that's it. Like, where are you adding value? And recognizing that the things that we do might not add value. And how do we change that? Yeah. Like, you know, we do a million things wrong in our school. A million things wrong.
Right.
But we learn from it and change it and make it better.
Right.
You know, we don't dwell in it. We don't, like, even when people make mistakes, we don't dwell on that. We mind for the real stuff, fix it, move on.
Yep.
Like, you know, there's no need to keep dwelling. And I think that's why I appreciate this group so much, because we've had plenty of losses individually, as a group. I mean, come on. Like, we've had plenty of bad decisions, plenty of, like, low times, plenty of all of those things.
Come on.
But not one time have we dwelled in it.
No.
We don't live there.
No.
You know, we don't live there. Like, we learn from it and move on. Like,
right.
And so that's what I appreciate, and that's what we got to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there it is, man.
Boom.
There it is, man. For the first episode, man, you know, with this space, you know, this how it starts with us. You know, we start with one thing and it just kind of branches out and kind of become all this other type of stuff. So, man, this has been amazing. And so, man, I'm looking forward to the next episode, man. So, hey, child listeners, man, thank y'all for listening to Group Text, man. This has been a great conversation.
Absolutely.
We hope that it added value to you. For those that are watching on YouTube, man, shout out to you. Yeah. Shout out to you. Leave a comment, share with somebody, and all that other type of stuff. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify or iHeartRadio or whatever, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe to this podcast. All right, this is AD, Rick, and Wayne.
Yeah,
and we out, man, for Group Text.
Group Text.
See you next time.
Peace.